myself Dr. Priti Jagwani. I am an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science, Aryavarta College, University of Delhi. So, presently we are studying the topic of computer networks, and in this topic till this point we have covered ISO OSI model and all its 5 layers till the session layer. Our today's agenda is going to be the next one, which is the presentation layer. So, when I am talking about presentation layer, this is actually the second layer from the top, or we can say it is the sixth layer from the bottom, and it lies between the application layer and the session layer, and today we are going to study in detail about this presentation layer. So, when we say presentation layer, this actually acts as a translator for the network, ensuring that the data exchanged between devices is in a format that both the system, the receiver and the sender should understand. Now, because the name indicates presentation layer, it is having an important role in ensuring the proper data representation, and because of this data representation responsibility, this layer is often referred to as we can call it as a translation layer or the syntax layer also. So, it is having different names. So, translation layer, presentation layer and syntax layer, but the most common name which is used very prominently is your presentation layer. Now, the role is to kind of ensure proper data representation or proper format of data should be exchanged between the sender and the receiver, and the data format should be that the both systems should understand that. Now, when we talk about the other layers or the responsibility of presentation layer as compared to other layers of the ISO OSI model, we can say that the kind of it is kind of a less visible layer, because most of the responsibilities which are being kind of fulfilled by this presentation layer are overshadowed by more visible layers, which are the visible layers, for example transport layer or kind of the application layer. So, this layer 6, which is the presentation layer, performs the essential functions that enable seamless communication between diverse systems and applications. When we focus on the role of the presentation layer, so we can say that when your application layer generates the data, presentation layer converts that particular data into a standard form that can be transmitted across the network. Similarly, at the receiving end, when the data is received, your presentation layer translates the data into a format which receiving system needs, or which we can say receiving system can process. So, basically it is related to maintaining proper syntax and semantics of the data. So, syntax and semantics both, if we kind of if we talk about, are the responsibility of this presentation layer. Also, along with kind of maintenance of syntax and semantics, it also provides encryption and decryption for kind of communication security, or we can say data security. It also applies some compression techniques to optimize bandwidth usage, and also ensures the compatibility between different systems and devices. So, encryption, decryption, compression techniques, syntax and semantics, all these kinds of we can say all these words are actually the keywords which define the responsibility of the presentation layer. And because of all these works which are encryption, decryption or even compression techniques, these encryption, decryption and compression techniques are actually related to how you present your data, how you show your data, how you depict your data. So, that is why the name, which is the presentation layer, because all these issues related to presentation, whether it is syntax, semantics, encryption, decryption, or even compression techniques, or even ensuring the compatibility between various devices and systems, is actually the responsibility of your presentation layer. Now, at each and every layer we have looked into what that particular we can say data unit at that layer is known as. So, for example, at network we at network layer we deal with packets, then at your data link layer we deal with we can say simply the datagram or something like that. So, here when we call about the presentation layer, the protocol data unit at the presentation layer, we simply call it as the data, or we can call that as APDU as well. So, APDU is application protocol data unit. And now, as I was saying that it take care of the syntax and semantics. So, syntax, if we talk about that is related to format of this format of the data, structure of the data, or we can say grammatical rules of the data, while semantics, when we talk about semantics, are more closely related to meaning. So, semantics ensures that the data retain its intended meaning when interpreted by different systems. So, syntax and semantics both are actually I can say the forte of the presentation layer. Now, we have looked into what actually what are the key highlights for this presentation layer are. If we want to look into the details of the functions of the presentation layer, so functions of the presentation layer goes like this. First is the data translation, then we have data compression, then we have data encryption, or it could be decryption. So, encrypted on one particular site, so obviously it is going to be decrypted on the other site and vice versa. Then management of syntax and semantics, then interoperability, to ensure the interoperability between the sender and the receiver, or the format actually the format which the sender and receiver are understanding. Then also transferring syntax negotiation. So, basically if we want to kind of look functions of the presentation layer, these actually is the list of the functions of the presentation layer. So, providing data translation services, data compression, encryption, decryption, syntax and semantic management, and so on and so forth. Now, when we look into these services or these functions into the detail, and when we talk about, let us say, the first one, which is kind of compression. So, compression is actually what do we understand by compression? Compression is reducing data size. And why do we need to reduce this data size? Obviously for the faster transmission. So, compression is reduction of data size for faster transmission. Then comes encryption or decryption. Encryption, decryption is kind of coding of data in order to protect that from the unauthorized access. That is what your encryption, decryption is. If we look into format translation says it is the conversion of an application specific data into a standard format. Moving forward, if we talk about compatibility, so compatibility is making communication possible between different operating systems and platforms. So, it is a perfectly possible scenario that at one end, which is maybe kind of sender, the operating system or the platform is different, and at the receiving end it is a different operating system and platform. So, a communication, in order to make the communication possible, a compatibility has to be maintained between the two ends. So, that is what again is the kind of job of presentation layer. Now, after looking into the key highlights, after looking into the functions of this presentation layer, and after kind of comprehending the work of presentation layer, let us see how this presentation layer fits into the whole flow. So that means how the data is coming from the upper layers, then it is going to the the layers down or something of that sort. So let us see the workflow of the presentation layer. Presentation layer, as far as its position is concerned, it is going to be an intermediary between the application layer and the session layer. So application layer, the topmost one, which is the layer 7, and session layer, it is the layer 5, which is the layer below the presentation layer. So at the sender's end, it is going to format, it is going to encrypt, and it is going to compress the data which is being received from the upper layer, which is the application layer. So before sending it to the session layer, a couple of things, couple of we can say executions are to be performed on the data. That is to be kind of encryption, then compression, obviously because of the faster transmission we need compression also, and also it needs the formatting according to the receiver's side. So at the sender's end, it formats, encrypts, compresses the data which is received from the application layer, and after doing all these functionalities, or after performing all these tasks on the data received from the application layer, it is kind of being sent to the session layer. At the receiver's end, it does the opposite. So it decrypts, while at the sender's end the encryption was done. At the receiver's end, it decrypts, it decompresses the data. At the sender's end, the data was compressed. Here at the receiver end, it is decompressed, or we can say brought into its original form. And also it translates the data into a readable form before delivering it to the application layer. So at the receiving end, it takes the data from the session layer, it decrypts it, decompresses the data, and translates the data into a readable form, which is going to be the readable format for the layer just above, which is the application layer. And after we can say preparing the data into a format which can be presented, it is going to deliver that data into the application layer. So basically it is kind of taking the data from application layer, prepares the format, we can say in a nutshell, give it to the session layer. At the receiving end, it receives from the session layer, then prepare the format as per the layer on the top, which is the application layer. At the receiver side, prepares the data, and then kind of push it on the top to the application layer. Now during this course of ISO OSI model various layers, we have looked into different layers, and we have also looked into the protocols which are being used on those particular layers. So here also we need to look into, although in a very brief manner, but yes, we need to look into all those protocols which are going to be used on the presentation layer. So presentation layer, because it deals with the compatibilities, it deals with kind of bridging various platforms and formats. So the presentation layer protocols which are being presented here are, one is Apple filling protocol, which is AFP. It is basically a file service protocol used for Mac operating systems. Then comes LPP, which is lightweight presentation protocol, which provides ISO representation services over TCP/IP stacks. So when you need to, or when you are looking into the presentation protocols, you will have a feeling of that all these protocols, all these services are actually somewhere related to how the data is presented, in which format the data is presented. In this series, the next comes as NCP, which is NetWare Core Protocol, which is used in novel NetWare for file and print services. So various networks, various operating systems. So this is actually the layer which is going to deal into the formats, into the compatibilities of various operating systems, various protocol stacks, or various platforms and backgrounds. Then there comes NDR. NDR stands for Network Data Representation. So, network data representation, the name itself indicates that it defines data types and representation for network communication. Then comes external data representation, which is in short denoted by XDR, which is actually a protocol or actually a standard for describing and encoding the data across different architectures. Then comes secure socket layer, which is SSL. That secure socket layer, you all are aware that it provides encryption and secure communication between web browsers and server, and SSL actually is a security kind of mechanism, or it is a mechanism for secure communication in which your data is kind of, we can say, encrypted. Then we have transport layer security, which is TLS. It is the we can say more secure and more a newer version or a new or a successor to your SSL, which is secure socket layer. Now, when we talk about various protocols, how it is working, what is the workflow, then what are different functions. For presentation layer, it is also very important to look into the kind of various kinds of attacks which can happen here. So, because this layer is actually dealing with your compression, encryption, data formatting, it is actually vulnerable for kind of various attacks, or we can say it can be often targeted by attackers. So, common includes common attacks inclusion here, or study of common attacks, or in although in a brief manner makes a kind of reasonable sense here. So, common attacks which are kind of related to which may happen on the presentation layer includes first is MITM attack. MITM attack says which is man in the middle attack. So, because here we are kind of changing the formats, we are encrypting the data, we are compressing the data. This layer or this position, we can say, is actually very sensitive for these attacks, and man in the middle attack actually it is kind of an interception of communication, and the agenda for interception of communication is to steal the sensitive data. So, there is a man in the middle of the kind of network, and that party or that agent is trying to attack the communication, or it is trying to steal the sensitive data. So, man in the middle, so the name man in the middle attack. Then they have SSL or TLS downgrade attacks, which actually ensures forcing weaker encryption protocols. So, in the list of common attacks, we have this man in the middle attacks, then we have SSL TLS attack, which actually forces the protocols or encryption protocols in a weaker manner. Then we have certificate spoofing, which actually uses fake certificates in order to have an identity theft kind of thing, or we can say to impersonate trusted entities. Then there is the attack which is related to code injection, which means exploiting vulnerabilities in data parsing or formatting. So, then if we look into what are the common, there can be various other attacks also. So, the list here which is being presented is not exclusive, but yes, more common attacks are man in the middle attack, then these weaker encryption protocols, forcing, certificate spoofing, and definitely code injection. This is actually the list of we can say common attacks. Now, moving forward, if we look into what are the kind of advantages of having this, although kind of a less visible, but an important layer to be kind of, we can say, fixing into this ISO OSI model. What are the key advantages of this presentation layer? So, this presentation layer actually enhance the interoperability. It also enables the seamless communication between heterogeneous systems which are using different data representations, different character encodings, different file formats, different type of operating systems, and so on and so forth. So, the two systems, sender and the receiver, are actually different in many terms, we can say, whether it is representation, character encoding, file format, operating system, everything is different. So, yes, definitely in order to communicate between these kind of so very heterogeneous machines, a kind of interoperability is required. That interoperability is provided by your presentation layer. Also, the presentation layer eliminates the need for individual application to handle the format conversion internally. If presentation layer would have not been present here, it would have been the responsibility of the individual applications to handle these format conversions. So, now your because of the presence of this presentation layer, your applications are kind of, we can say, they are at in a relaxed situation. Now, by using this presentation layer, your network efficiency is also improved, because this is the layer which is providing data compression, and because of this data compression, bandwidth consumption is kind of, we can say, reduced, and definitely your data communication is happening in a faster manner. So, definitely it is a way to improve the network efficiency. Then also your kind of these compression algorithms, these achieve significant size reductions, particularly for text based data and multimedia content, and hence it accelerates the file transfer if the file is in a kind of compressed manner. Then if we talk about the security services which are being provided by this presentation layer, so we can say many robust security services are provided which are encryption and decryption capabilities, or simply we can say application level encryption and decryption capabilities, and protecting sensitive data during transmission with the help of these encryption and decryption capabilities. And there are centralized cryptographic services which ensures the consistent security implementation across applications. So, that is also kind of, we can say, one of the key advantages of the presence of this presentation layer just below the application layer. And now this because of its position, we can say application independence is also kind of being provided, and application independence is actually something which frees the software developer from implementing low level data conversion and security functions. So, implementation of low level data conversion and security functions is not actually a headache of software developer, because the application is kind of, say, we can say, independent. So, application independence frees the software developer from all these headache of security and this kind of low level data conversions, because now all these are actually being handled by your presentation layer. And because of this, because of this relaxation, your applications now we can say focus on business logic while relying on standardized presentation services. So, because of these presentation services doing all these housekeeping jobs at the just the lower level, your applications are more able to focus on their prime function, which is nothing but the business logic. Then there are standardized data exchange services which ensures consistent data interpretation across different platforms and applications, and this is being done through common formatting protocols and translation standards. In this also your presentation layer we can say have a very important role. So, we looked into the functionality, we looked into the tasks, the workflow, working, and then we also looked into the important advantages. but there are also some challenges and limitations which are more specifically related to, we can say, challenges are related to the implementation level. So, implementation challenges and limitations if we look into. So, yes, functional integration requires frequently in modern protocol implementations, while your presentation layer functions are we can say combined with application layer services. TCP/IP model typically integrates these functions into the layer 7, making the distinct presentation layer less visible, which is kind of there in your ISO OSI model. And also we can say processing overheads, they result from the translation, compression, they are there. Then complex transformations can introduce latency when we are talking about time sensitive applications. Then in the implementation of encryption, there can be some security vulnerabilities also. This makes the presentation layer a potential target for cryptographic attacks, and protocol complexity definitely increases when multiple presentation services operates simultaneously. We are talking about compression, encryption, translation, and so many other things also. So, in order to secure this presentation layer, we have to have very strong encryption algorithms. We need to secure our protocols like TLS and so on and so forth, and also we need to use cryptographic hash functions to verify the integrity of the data. So, that data integrity checks also need to be performed. So, here in this lecture we looked into although an important but an overshadowed layer of ISO OSI model, which is the presentation layer, and we looked into all the prospects of this presentation layer like challenges, advantages, functionality, working, each and everything extra, each and everything. Here is a list of references which is being used for the preparation of lecture. I hope you have enjoyed this one. I will see you in the next. Till then, take care. Goodbye.